On a faraway planet, in the depths of a long-forgotten alien city, there was an ancient secret. A legend had spread across the galaxy. No alien could wear the armor that lay hidden in the deepest chamber of that abandoned city. The armor was unlike anything seen before, a blend of strange materials and glowing energy that pulsed with power. It was said to have been created by an ancient race, far older than any of the current galactic empires. This armor was the key to unimaginable strength, but no one, not even the fiercest alien warrior, could ever touch it. For centuries, various alien species tried to unlock its secrets. Many had come to the city, hoping to claim the armor and harness its power, but every single one of them failed. No matter their skills, their strength, or their technology, the armor simply would not respond to them. Some believed it was cursed. Others thought it was a trap, designed to lure in the strongest of foes and destroy them. But no matter the reason, the result was always the same. The armor remained untouched, sitting silently in the dark chamber. However, that was about to change. Captain Alex Carter, a soldier of Earth, was selected for a mission unlike any other. The galaxy was in a fragile state, with different alien factions constantly fighting for control. Earth had managed to stay out of the larger galactic struggles, but a new enemy was rising, an alien warlord named Korak, who sought to claim the powerful armor for himself. He believed that with this armor, he could defeat every other race in the galaxy and make himself the ultimate ruler. If Korak succeeded, the entire galaxy would be at his mercy. Alex, a seasoned soldier, had fought in many battles across the stars. He had seen the horrors of war, the destruction it brought, and the lives lost in its wake. But this mission was different. He wasn't just going to fight a warlord. He was going to stop a galactic disaster before it even began. His orders were clear: retrieve the armor before Korak could get his hands on it. As Alex's spaceship landed near the abandoned city, he couldn't help but feel the weight of the mission. The air was thick with dust, and the planet's dark skies cast an eerie glow over the ruins. The city looked ancient, its buildings towering high above the ground, covered in moss and vines. The streets were quiet, too quiet. There were no signs of life. The silence was deafening. Alex suited up, his heart racing with anticipation. He had been trained for every kind of combat, but this mission felt different. There was something about the armor that gave him a sense of unease. What if he wasn't able to unlock its power? What if the legends were true, and it was too dangerous for anyone to use? But Alex didn't have time for doubts. He was Earth's last hope to prevent the armor from falling into the wrong hands. His boots clicked softly against the stone floor as he moved deeper into the city. His training had taught him to stay alert, to never let his guard down. The city seemed abandoned, but that didn't mean it was safe. He kept his weapon close, ready for anything. The deeper Alex went, the more the air seemed to change. It was colder now, the chill running down his spine. It felt as though the city itself was alive, watching him as he moved through the dark streets. He had a sense that he wasn't alone, that something, or someone, was following him. But when he turned, there was nothing there. Only shadows. Finally, after what seemed like hours, Alex reached the chamber. It was massive, a vast hall with a high ceiling. The walls were lined with strange alien symbols, glowing faintly in the darkness. At the center of the room was a pedestal, and on that pedestal lay the armor. It was beautiful, yet terrifying. The armor shimmered with an energy that seemed almost alive. Its surface was a mix of dark metal and glowing blue veins that ran across it like the pulse of a heartbeat. The air around it hummed with power. Alex stepped forward cautiously, his breath catching in his throat. This was it, the legendary armor that had defeated every alien warrior. He couldn't help but feel a sense of awe as he approached it. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, even in all his time fighting across the stars. But there was one thing that troubled him. The armor wasn't reacting to his presence. The legend said that no alien could wear it, but Alex wasn't an alien. He was human. Would it work for him? Was he worthy to wield such power? He reached out slowly, his hand trembling ever so slightly. As his fingers brushed against the armor, a strange energy pulsed through him. It wasn't painful, but it was strong, as if the armor was testing him. He could feel the weight of it, the immense power locked within. Alex hesitated for a moment. The armor was silent, waiting. He couldn't help but wonder if this was the right choice. What if it was too much for him to control? What if it would overwhelm him? But there was no time for second-guessing. If he didn't act now, Korak would get to it first, and the galaxy would fall into darkness. With a deep breath, Alex made his decision. He would wear the armor. He would fight for his planet, for humanity, and for the galaxy. Alex stood still for a moment, his hand hovering over the legendary armor, contemplating his next move. The hum of the chamber seemed to grow louder in his ears, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. He had come all this way, fought through countless dangers, and now he was face to face with the most powerful piece of technology ever created. Would it accept him? Would it work for a human? Every alien who had touched it before failed. Why should he be any different? But there was no time to question fate. The mission was clear. He had to succeed. He needed to wear the armor, unlock its power, and prevent it from falling into the hands of Korak, the alien warlord who would destroy everything in his path to claim it. As Alex closed his eyes for a brief second, he thought of Earth, the people he fought for, the home that was so far away. If he didn't act now, everything could be lost. With a determined breath, Alex reached down and gripped the edges of the armor. The moment his fingers made contact, a sudden jolt of energy shot through him, like an electric current coursing through his veins. The armor shimmered under his touch, reacting to him in a way it never had before. It was as if the ancient technology was alive, testing him, questioning his worth. For a heartbeat, the room grew completely silent, and Alex felt every muscle in his body tense. And then, just as quickly, the silence broke. The armor seemed to react to him in a rush of light and energy, swirling around him like a storm. It clicked and clanked as it formed around his body, the pieces fitting together with an almost unnatural precision. The metal of the suit was cool at first, but it began to warm as it connected with him, adapting to his shape. It was more than just a suit. It was a living thing, adjusting itself to the very essence of who he was. Alex could feel it, feel the armor sensing with his heartbeat and breath. His heart raced faster than it ever had before. The weight of the armor was unlike anything he had ever experienced. At first, it felt heavy, almost suffocating, but as the suit enveloped him completely, Alex felt something else, something more powerful. Strength. Strength beyond human limits. Speed that could rival the fastest creatures in the galaxy, and an awareness of his surroundings that was almost supernatural. The world around him seemed to slow as his senses heightened, every detail standing out in vivid clarity. The armor didn't just cover him, it connected with him, like a second skin, blending seamlessly with his body. He could feel every piece of it working in harmony, from the boots that molded to his feet to the gauntlets that adjusted perfectly to his arms. The chest plate, sleek and solid, felt like an impenetrable shield. The helmet, which he had barely noticed, slid over his head with a quiet hiss, sealing him inside the armor's protection. Through the visor, Alex could see the faint glow of the runes etched into the surface, their light pulsing rhythmically in time with his own heartbeat. He took a deep breath, adjusting to the sudden surge of power that flooded his body. It was as if every fiber of his being had been amplified, as if he had become something more than human. The feeling was overwhelming, and for a moment he felt disoriented, as though the weight of the universe had shifted onto his shoulders. But he wasn't afraid. He had never felt more alive. Is this what it feels like to be a god? He thought to himself, his voice muffled by the helmet. But there was no time for self-reflection. Korak and his army would be closing in soon, and if he didn't act fast, this power would be meaningless. Just then, a loud crash echoed through the chamber. The door at the far end of the room exploded inward, sending debris flying in every direction. Alex's heart skipped a beat as the figure of Korak emerged from the smoke, towering and menacing, his eyes glowing with hatred. Behind him, a small army of alien soldiers entered, weapons raised and ready for battle. They had found him. Korak's eyes narrowed as he looked at Alex, the human now encased in the legendary armor. "You think you can stop me, human?" The warlord growled, his voice booming across the chamber. "I've waited too long for this moment. That armor belongs to my kind, not yours." Alex stepped forward, the armor's strength making him feel almost invincible. The weight of the suit no longer felt like a burden. It was a part of him, moving as one with his body. He flexed his fingers, testing the armor's response. Every movement was fluid, controlled, and powerful. "I'm not here to take what doesn't belong to me," Alex said, his voice calm, but his words carrying the weight of someone who had made a decision he was ready to live and die. "I'm here to stop you." Korak's soldiers aimed their weapons, but Alex moved so fast that he was a blur. He ducked, rolled, and emerged in a flash, landing in front of the warlord with a force that knocked Korak back several feet. The ground beneath them cracked as the energy in Alex's armor surged with each strike. The alien soldiers hesitated for just a moment, stunned by the human's sudden power. Korak, however, was far from intimidated. With a furious roar, he raised his hand, and an energy blade formed at his side, crackling with deadly energy. "You dare challenge me, human?" he snarled, charging forward. The battle had begun. The clash was inevitable. Alex could feel the raw power of the armor coursing through his veins as he faced Korak, the alien warlord who had crushed entire civilizations with his might. But Alex wasn't afraid. The armor, now fully integrated with him, was a part of him, and it seemed to respond with an almost sentient awareness. As Korak swung his energy blade, Alex instinctively sidestepped, the motion fluid and precise, as if his body had already predicted the attack. With a burst of speed that seemed impossible for a human, Alex moved in close, landing a powerful punch that sent Korak stumbling back. The shockwave from the impact rattled the floor beneath them. Korak growled in anger and quickly regained his balance, his glowing eyes locking onto Alex. "You are stronger than I expected," Korak spat, his voice low and menacing. "But you are still nothing compared to the might of my forces." Without warning, Korak signaled to his soldiers, who rushed forward, weapons raised. Alex didn't hesitate. The armor's energy surged around him, and in a flash, he was surrounded by a protective barrier, deflecting incoming laser fire with ease. The soldiers' shots bounced off harmlessly, and Alex moved through their ranks like a whirlwind, each strike landing with devastating precision. He was faster, stronger, and more agile than any of them had ever imagined. His every move felt effortless, as if the armor anticipated his intentions. But even as he dispatched Korak's soldiers one by one, Alex could feel a deep, unsettling sensation growing within him. The armor was incredible, yes, but it was also unpredictable. With every moment, Alex could feel it drawing more and more of his energy. His body, though enhanced beyond human limits, was still struggling to keep up with the immense power that flowed through him. The armor wasn't just an upgrade. It was a force that was taking control of him, not the other way around. With a swift movement, Alex grabbed one of the alien soldiers by the arm and hurled him into another group, sending them flying backward. He didn't even break a sweat. His heart raced as his senses heightened, every sound, every movement, amplified in the helmet's visor. The armor was now fully attuned to him, but its power was growing more difficult to control. His breath came faster, and his body was starting to feel the strain. Just as he turned to face Korak again, the warlord laughed darkly. "Impressive, human, but no matter how fast you move, no matter how much power you gain, You cannot defeat me. I am invincible with this army." He raised his energy blade, its hum vibrating through the air. Alex squared his shoulders and stood tall, his body still buzzing with the immense power of the armor. "I don't need an army," he said quietly. "I only need this armor." Before Korak could react, Alex launched himself forward, the armor propelling him with incredible speed. Korak swung his blade at him, but Alex was faster, ducking under the strike and landing a solid blow to Korak's midsection. The impact sent shockwaves through the warlord's body, and for a brief moment, Korak faltered. The alien staggered backward, clutching his side. For the first time, Korak looked uncertain. He had underestimated this human soldier. Alex could see the warlord's eyes burning with fury, his pride shattered by the unexpected strength of his opponent. But Korak was a seasoned warrior, and his survival instincts kicked in. He gritted his teeth and roared, charging forward once more, this time with more caution. As they clashed again, Alex could feel the energy building inside the armor, pushing him to his limits. The pressure was mounting. His muscles screamed for relief, but the armor wouldn't allow him to stop. It was as though the armor was urging him forward, forcing him to fight harder, faster, stronger. It wasn't just a tool. It was becoming part of his very being, dictating his movements, his actions. With each passing second, Alex grew more aware of the cost of wielding such power. The armor was draining him, slowly but surely, its energy consumption far greater than he anticipated. Every time he moved, the armor's energy reserves were depleted just a little more. He could feel his own energy being siphoned away, as though the armor was feeding off him, using him to unlock its full potential. Korak, sensing the change, attacked with renewed ferocity. His blade whizzed through the air, aimed straight for Alex's neck. But Alex reacted instinctively, raising his forearm to block the strike. The blade clashed against the armor with a loud, resounding impact. The force sent Alex sliding back across the room, but he quickly regained his footing. Korak pressed the attack, his eyes glowing with contempt. "You think you're invincible, human. You're nothing but a pawn." Alex's mind raced as he quickly analyzed the situation. He was running out of time. The armor, though powerful, wasn't invulnerable. He needed to end this fight, quickly. Suddenly, the helmet's display flickered, and Alex's surroundings shifted into a sharper focus. The armor, as if responding to his thoughts, revealed a hidden function, an energy pulse that could disable any enemy. He didn't fully understand how it worked, but now wasn't the time to question it. With a deep breath, Alex gathered his strength and activated the pulse. A blinding flash of energy exploded from his body, sending Korak flying backward, crashing into the stone wall. The warlord's soldiers screamed as they were thrown off their feet by the shockwave. The blast left a trail of destruction in its wake, and for a moment, everything was silent. Alex stood still, panting heavily, his chest rising and falling with each breath. The armor, though still intact, was starting to hum with an unsettling vibration. The battle was far from over, and Alex realized that the power he had just unleashed might not have been enough to stop Korak completely. The warlord was still alive, still out there, and the armor was beginning to push him further than he ever imagined. He had won this round, but the war wasn't over, and the price of wielding the armor was only beginning to show its true cost. The silence that followed the explosion was deafening. Alex stood amidst the rubble, his chest heaving as the weight of what he had just done settled in. The pulse of energy had knocked Korak and his soldiers back, but it hadn't ended the battle. No, the warlord was far too resilient for that, and Alex knew that despite his newfound strength, he was far from invincible. The armor hummed softly around him, its energy resonating deep within his bones. Each movement felt powerful, yet the strain was beginning to show. The longer he wore the suit, the more the weight of it pressed on his body. The armor wasn't just a suit of strength. It was a constant reminder of how much it was taking from him. He turned and surveyed the battlefield. The alien soldiers had regrouped, their weapons now trained on him. Korak, though still on the ground, was slowly getting back to his feet, his eyes burning with a murderous rage. His energy blade had been knocked from his hand, but Alex knew that wouldn't stop him. Korak was far from defeated. The warlord's voice rang out, hoarse but filled with fury. "You think this power will save you, human? You are a fool. No one can stop me, not even you." Alex didn't respond. There was no need for words. His body was telling him everything he needed to know. He couldn't afford to waste time on speeches. Korak and his soldiers had to be stopped now. Every second that passed was another moment where the armor drained him further. Korak rose to his full height, his eyes glowing with an unnatural intensity. He was enraged now, and Alex could see that the warlord was about to unleash everything he had. The other soldiers were slowly advancing, surrounding Alex in a tight circle. They'd moved with synchronized precision, their alien weapons aimed directly at him. But Alex wasn't afraid. He had been trained for this, for combat, for moments where he had to face impossible odds. His hands clenched into fists, and the energy from the armor coursed through him again, a surge that made every nerve in his body tingle. He felt like a live wire, ready to snap. Without warning, Alex launched himself into the fray, his movements a blur as he weaved through the alien soldiers. They were fast, but Alex was faster. Every strike landed with precision, each blow disabling another opponent. The armor seemed to amplify his natural reflexes, making him a blur of motion in the chaos of battle. Korak's soldiers were not weak. They were skilled, each one a trained fighter. But the armor made Alex a force to be reckoned with. He could hear the metallic sounds of his fists connecting with alien armor, the screams of the soldiers as they were thrown to the ground. The energy from the armor built up with every move, and soon Alex felt a dangerous tension in his body. The longer he fought, the more the armor drained him, but he couldn't stop. Not yet. Korak, seeing his soldiers being wiped out so quickly, roared in frustration and charged forward. The warlord's strength was formidable, his power evident in every step he took. His hands glowed with an energy far darker than Alex's, a pulsing black light that made the air itself feel colder. Alex locked eyes with Korak, the tension between them palpable. It was clear now that this was no longer a fight for the armor. This was personal. Korak was a beast, a creature who ruled through fear and strength. But now, he was facing something different. Alex wasn't just fighting for survival. He was fighting for everything he believed in. Korak's energy blade flared back to life, crackling with dangerous power. With a snarl, he charged at Alex, swinging the blade in a deadly arc aimed at his head. The sheer force of the strike would have decimated any normal soldier, but Alex wasn't just any soldier. He was a human now empowered by an ancient, powerful force. The armor surged, and he sidestepped the strike, his movement faster than the eye could follow. The warlord's attack missed, but Alex wasn't about to let him recover. With a sudden burst of speed, he closed the distance between them, delivering a powerful kick to Korak's chest. The impact sent the warlord flying backward, crashing into a wall of debris. Alex didn't give him a chance to regroup. He followed up with a series of punches and strikes, each one faster and harder than the last. The armor seemed to guide his movements, making him more effective than he had ever imagined. But as the battle wore on, Alex began to feel the strain. The power of the armor was incredible, but it wasn't infinite. He could feel his energy reserves dwindling with each passing moment. His muscles ached, and his vision began to blur. His body was being pushed to the limits, and the armor, despite its immense strength, was draining him in ways he couldn't fully comprehend. Korak, sensing that his opponent was weakening, slowly began to rise, a sinister grin creeping across his face. "You've made a mistake, human," he said through gritted teeth, his voice dripping with malice. "You think you can match my strength. You are nothing but a pawn in a game you don't understand. The warlord raised his hand, summoning a new weapon, a massive, jagged spear of energy that crackled with dark power. The blade of the spear seemed to distort the very air around it, creating ripples in the atmosphere. Korak swung it with terrifying precision, aiming directly for Alex's heart. But Alex didn't back down. His mind raced, calculating the trajectory of Korak's attack. He knew he had one chance to end this. He needed to finish it now. With a surge of adrenaline, Alex launched himself at Korak, dodging the spear and delivering a crushing blow to the warlord's chest. The impact caused a violent explosion of energy, and for a moment, the world seemed to stop. Korak staggered, his weapon slipping from his hand as he gasped for air. The force of the blow had knocked the wind out of him, but he was still dangerous. Alex could see the hatred burning in Korak's eyes, but there was something else, something deeper. The warlord's strength was beginning to wane. The energy from his spear flickered, and his movements slowed. This was it. Alex knew it was now or never. With one final push, he called on every last reserve of strength the armor could give him. With a loud primal yell, he launched himself at Korak, slamming his fist into the warlord's chest with such force that the ground beneath them cracked. Korak's eyes widened in shock as the armor's power erupted in a final blinding flash of energy. The warlord's body was thrown backward, slamming into the far wall of the chamber. He crumpled to the ground, motionless. The battle was over, but Alex knew that this victory came at a heavy price. He had won, but the armor had taken its toll, and the battle was far from over. The room was still, save for the echoes of the final clash. Korak lay motionless, his form crumpled against the stone wall, a deep gash across his chest, where Alex's final blow had struck. The warlord's energy blade lay discarded beside him, flickering with dying light. Alex stood at the center of the battlefield, his breathing ragged, the weight of the armor pressing down on him like never before. For a moment, he allowed himself to breathe, to gather his thoughts. His heart was pounding in his chest, and sweat dripped from his brow. The power of the armor had pushed him beyond his limits, but somehow he had managed to defeat Korak. He had done it. The most feared warlord in the galaxy was defeated by a single human. But as Alex stood there, taking in the sight of Korak's fallen form, a cold dread began to creep over him. His body felt heavier, his movements slower. The armor that had once felt like a seamless extension of himself now seemed like a foreign weight, a force he couldn't fully control. The power it had given him had come at a cost. He could feel it draining him, sapping his strength, making him weaker by the second. The glow of the armor's runes had dimmed, and with it, the strength that had surged through Alex only moments before seemed to vanish. His limbs felt stiff, unresponsive. His vision blurred at the edges, the world around him tilting slightly. He staggered, his knees threatening to buckle beneath him. The weight of the suit was unbearable now, and the once vibrant hum of the armor's energy had turned into a low, almost mournful thrum, like the last breath of a dying beast. Panic started to settle in. He couldn't afford to collapse now. He had to stay focused. Korak was down, but there were still other threats, other dangers lurking in the depths of the galaxy. He had to survive. He had to get out of here. He took a step forward, but the ground beneath him seemed to tilt. The room swayed around him, the shadows growing longer and more oppressive. The battle had taken everything out of him, his energy, his focus, his strength, and now the armor, which had once been his greatest asset, was beginning to feel like a prison. He shook his head, trying to clear the dizziness from his mind. He had to stay alert. He had to. A sudden noise snapped him from his thoughts, a low, grinding rumble. At first, Alex thought it was just the aftermath of the battle, but as the sound grew louder, his senses sharpened. His hand instinctively went to the hilt of the weapon at his side, though he barely had the strength to lift it. A figure appeared at the far end of the room, stepping out of the shadows. It was tall, its form obscured by the flickering light. Alex's heart skipped a beat. He could barely make out the outline, but something about the figure felt wrong. It wasn't an alien, not like the others he had fought. This one felt different. There was an unsettling aura about it, something beyond the reach of any technology or biology Alex had encountered. The figure moved slowly, deliberately, toward him, its footsteps heavy and measured. As it came closer, Alex could see it more clearly. An armored figure, its silhouette imposing, its helmet reflecting the dim light of the chamber. It was humanoid in shape, but its movements were unnatural, precise, and cold. It didn't look like a living being. It looked like something else. The armor on the figure was unlike anything Alex had ever seen, sleek, black, and almost organic in its design, as if it had been forged not from metal, but from something living. The eyes of the helmet were blank, empty, but Alex felt them on him, watching him with an unblinking, unfeeling gaze. The figure stopped just a few feet away from Alex, its presence overwhelming. There was no sound except for the faint hum of its armor, a sound that seemed to vibrate in the very air around them. The room was cold now, the oppressive weight of the figure's presence making it hard to breathe. Alex's hand tightened on his weapon, but his strength was fading fast. He could feel it. The armor was no longer an asset. It was a liability. And this figure, whatever it was far more dangerous than anything he had faced before. The armored figure tilted its head slightly, as if observing Alex with curiosity. Then, without a word, it reached up and removed its helmet. Alex's breath caught in his throat. Underneath the helmet was something, not human. It wasn't alien either. It was something in between, something far more ancient, more terrifying. The creature's face was pale, almost translucent, with elongated features and hollow eyes. Its skin seemed to shimmer in the low light, almost like it was made of living metal. It opened its mouth, revealing rows of sharp, jagged teeth. "I am the one who was lost," the creature said, its voice deep and resonant, sending a chill down Alex's spine. "I am the one who was forgotten." Alex's mind raced. The figure, the creature, it wasn't just a soldier. It was something more, something far more dangerous. "What are you?" Alex managed to rasp, his voice barely a whisper. The creature stepped closer, its eyes narrowing. "I am the Guardian, the one who watches over the armor. You," it paused, as if considering its words, "are not worthy." Alex felt a cold chill seep into his bones. The figure was right. He was struggling to keep standing, the armor now a heavy, draining weight on his body. It was no longer a tool. It had become a burden. And the Guardian, whatever it was, knew it. "You have taken something that does not belong to you," the creature continued. "And now you must pay the price." Before Alex could react, the Guardian raised its hand, and an energy pulse shot out, enveloping Alex in a brilliant flash of light. It wasn't like the armor's energy. This was raw, pure power, something far beyond anything Alex had ever encountered. The force of it slammed into him, sending him reeling backward. The last thing Alex saw before everything went dark was the figure standing over him, its hollow eyes watching him as he fell to the ground. The world faded away, and all he could hear was the faint, echoing hum of the armor's energy. When Alex awoke, the first thing he noticed was the cold. It wasn't the cold of the chamber where he had fought. It was something different. It was the kind of cold that seeped into your bones, chilling you to the very core. His head throbbed, a dull ache that made him wish he could just slip back into unconsciousness. But that was impossible now. He opened his eyes slowly, the world around him blurry. For a moment, he didn't know where he was. The walls seemed unfamiliar, smooth and slick, with a strange metallic sheen. It wasn't the familiar rock of the alien base, nor the warm glow of the armor's energy. It felt wrong. He tried to move, but his body refused to respond. His muscles were stiff, uncooperative. The weight of the armor, which had once felt like an extension of himself, now felt like a massive burden. As he lay there, trying to regain control of his body, the events of the battle came rushing back. The Guardian, the creature with the hollow eyes, its voice echoing in his mind, telling him he wasn't worthy. Alex had felt the raw power of its energy blast, and the world had gone black after that. But now he was awake. But where was he? And why did everything feel so wrong? He shifted his head slightly, trying to assess his surroundings. The room was dimly lit, the only light coming from a series of faint, pulsing lines running along the walls. It wasn't a normal room. It felt more like a lab, a place where experiments were conducted, where beings were studied. The air was thick, sterile, with a faint metallic smell. Then, through the haze, he heard a voice. "You're awake." Alex turned his head as best as he could, but the movement sent a wave of dizziness over him. Standing in front of him was the figure, the Guardian. But now, the creature was not wearing its helmet. Its face, pale and metallic, glistened in the low light, its hollow eyes fixed on Alex with a cold, calculating gaze. "How long?" Alex's voice cracked. It felt foreign, like his throat hadn't been used in days. "Long enough for you to understand the consequences of your actions," the Guardian replied, its voice deep and unnervingly calm. "You are not the first to wield the armor, human, but you are the first to fail so spectacularly." Alex's mind raced. Fail? He managed, still struggling to process what was happening. The weight of the armor was unbearable, and the more he tried to move, the weaker he felt. The armor had been a tool, a weapon, but now it was a shackle. "You didn't think it would come without a price, did you?" The Guardian continued. "The armor is not just a gift. It is a curse, and now you will understand why." Alex's heart skipped a beat. Curse. He swallowed hard, fear creeping into his chest. "What are you talking about?" The Guardian's gaze hardened. "You have taken what does not belong to you. The armor you wear is not of your kind. It is ancient, older than anything you could ever comprehend. And you are not its master. You are its prisoner." A jolt of realization hit Alex like a slap to the face. The armor. He hadn't thought about it like that before. At first, it had felt like a blessing, an unstoppable force that could crush anything in its path. But now, with every passing moment, he felt the energy draining from him, the armor growing heavier, more invasive. It wasn't enhancing him. It was controlling him. "No," he whispered, his mind spinning. I can't let it control me." The Guardian's lips curled into a faint, almost pitying smile. "You don't have a choice." Before Alex could respond, the creature raised its hand, and a faint ripple of energy passed through the room, humming with an eerie resonance. The walls around Alex began to shift, and the metallic surface seemed to come alive, glowing faintly as if responding to the energy. "Let me show you," the Guardian said, its voice now almost a whisper, like a teacher preparing to give a lesson. "You see, the armor is more than just a suit of power. It is a prison, a device built to contain those who would seek to use it for their own ends. And you, human, have come too close to unleashing its true potential." Alex tried to struggle against the bonds that held him in place, but it was no use. The armor, which had once felt like his ally, now seemed to resist his every movement, tightening around him like a vice. He could feel the suit's power surging, not to help him, but to force him into submission. "You are being consumed by it," the Guardian continued, its eyes never leaving Alex's face. "The energy it gives you isn't endless, and it takes more than you realize. Each time you use it, you lose a piece of yourself. You will burn out, and the armor will claim you completely. Your will, your humanity, everything will be lost." Alex felt a surge of panic. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. The armor had made him stronger. It had given him the power to defeat Korak. to stand toe-to-toe with the deadliest warriors in the galaxy. But now he realized the truth. The price of that power was far too high. And the worst part was, he didn't know how to escape it. "Please," Alex gasped, his voice desperate. "There has to be a way." The Guardian's expression softened for a moment, but only for a brief instant. "There is no escape," it said. "Not for you. Not for anyone who wears it." The words hit Alex like a punch to the gut. There was no way out. He was trapped in this suit, this living prison, and soon it would take everything from him. The armor would consume him, and his body, his mind, his soul would be nothing but fuel for its insatiable hunger. The realization hit him like a wave, crashing over him, pulling him deeper into the abyss. He had thought he was in control, that he could use the armor's power to defeat any enemy. But now he saw the truth. He was the one being defeated. His vision blurred again, and his body felt like it was being pulled in two directions at once, the weight of the armor dragging him down while the energy pulsed through him, demanding more than he could give. He felt as if his very essence was being torn apart. The Guardian's cold eyes watched him, impassive, as Alex struggled against the suffocating grip of the armor. And in that moment, Alex realized the terrible truth. The armor had never been his to control. It was the armor that controlled him. Alex's world was closing in around him, the weight of the armor pressing on him like an invisible force, suffocating every breath he took. His chest felt tight, his vision narrowing as the energy from the suit pulsed with growing intensity. It was as if the armor was aware of his thoughts, his desperation, feeding on his fear, drawing more and more power from him with every passing second. He felt it. It wasn't just a suit anymore. It was becoming a part of him, something that ruled him, something that sought to strip him of his humanity. His body, still bound by invisible forces, trembled under the strain. Every fiber of his being screamed to escape, to rip the armor off and break free. But there was no way to do that. The armor had integrated itself into his skin, into his muscles, into his very bones. It was part of him, and he was part of it. And with every passing moment, it was taking more. Taking him. "Please," Alex gasped, his voice hoarse, raw from the effort to speak. His throat burned, but he fought against the weight, against the suffocating grip of the armor. I don't want this." The Guardian, still standing before him, watched with a cold, unreadable expression. It didn't speak right away, allowing the weight of Alex's words to settle. There was no sympathy, no pity in its eyes. The creature had already made its judgment. To it, Alex was just another pawn, another failed attempt to control something far beyond human understanding. "You cannot have what you want, human," the Guardian said quietly, its voice steady, almost gentle. "You sought power, and now you are paying the price. You are no different from the others who wore the armor before you. They all thought they could control it, but none of them succeeded, and neither will you." Alex's heart raced. He had come so far, fought so hard. But now, in this moment, he felt like nothing more than a vessel, trapped, consumed, and helpless. The armor had given him strength, had made him feel invincible. But now, all that remained was a hollow shell. The power had taken root in him, but it was not his to control. The armor hummed with life, sending waves of energy through his body. His vision swam, and the edges of his mind blurred. He felt his thoughts becoming disjointed, slipping away from him. The more he struggled, the tighter the grip became. His arms felt like they were made of lead, his legs unable to carry him. Every attempt to move was met with resistance, as if the armor itself was fighting him, making sure he stayed where he was, bound in place. "Why? Why are you doing this?" Alex choked out, his voice breaking. I just wanted to survive." The Guardian's eyes narrowed, its expression hardening. "Survival," it repeated. "Survival is a lie. You sought power to survive, but in the end, it will consume you. You were never meant to wield that power. It was never meant for you. Then what's the point? Alex asked, his voice trembling. He could feel the tears beginning to well in his eyes, the weight of it all crashing down on him. If I'm nothing more than a tool, why did I even fight? What was all of this for? The Guardian stepped closer, its shadow falling over Alex as it lowered its head, its face inches from his. For the first time, Alex saw something flicker in the creature's eyes, something ancient, something sorrowful. The point, human, is not power, the Guardian said quietly, its voice almost wistful. The point is understanding. The armor chooses its bearer. You are not the first to wear it, and you will not be the last. But all who have worn it have shared the same fate. They have all believed they could control it, but none of them could. And in the end, they all became what the armor was meant to protect the universe from. Alex's mind struggled to comprehend the weight of the words. Protect? What do you mean? The Guardian's voice grew darker, more intense. The armor is not a weapon. It is a prison. It is meant to hold those who would seek to challenge the natural order, those who would wield the power of the cosmos for their own gain. It is a tool for containment, a safeguard against those who would destroy everything in their wake. A chill ran down Alex's spine. His breath quickened as he realized the gravity of what the Guardian was saying. You're saying that the armor was never meant to be used by me? He asked, his voice trembling with disbelief. That it was meant to stop people like me? The Guardian nodded, its eyes now hard as stone. Yes, you were never meant to control the power of the armor. It was meant to keep you contained, to stop you from causing destruction. It is the last defense against those who would seek to use such power recklessly. Alex felt the weight of the truth settle on him, suffocating him. Everything he had fought for, everything he had believed, had been a lie. The power he had taken had not been a gift. It had been a trap. He was the one who had been controlled all along, and now, the armor was taking everything from him. His strength, his will, his humanity. Is there any way out? Alex whispered, a part of him holding on to the faintest hope that there might be a way to break free. That somehow, against all odds, he could find a way to escape the prison the armor had become. The Guardian looked at him for a long moment, its eyes cold and calculating. There is always a way out, it said at last. But not for you. Not anymore. A surge of despair flooded Alex's chest. The armor was now fully integrated into his body, and it was clear that it wasn't just a physical prison. It was a mental one too. The more he tried to fight against it, the more the armor took control, bending his will, erasing his thoughts. Soon, there would be nothing left of him. But in the darkest corners of his mind, Alex found a small, stubborn ember of defiance. The armor had taken everything, but it hadn't taken his will to survive. Maybe there was no way to escape the suit, no way to break free from its grip, but there had to be a way to use it, to turn the tide. In that moment, Alex made a decision. He would fight, not against the armor itself, but against the weight it had placed on his soul. He would find a way to make it his own, to turn the very thing that sought to consume him into a weapon of his own making. Even if it cost him everything, he would not go down without a fight. The Guardian's cold eyes watched him as the last of his strength drained away. You still don't understand, it murmured. The armor was never meant for you to wield. It will consume you. And when it does, you will become what it was created to destroy. But Alex's mind was made up. He could feel the armor's energy pulling at him, forcing him to surrender, but deep down, a small voice whispered, "Never surrender." And with that, he began to gather what little strength remained, not to fight the armor, but to control it, even if it was the last thing he did.